a nice little bit of a recovery drive, and he's doing that, to be fair. At the moment, down in 16th, as you can see on the timing towers, to keep on board with Hisada. This is the big pack at the moment, the big pack of 3 cars, as Masada will have to try and hold off Svensson and Hisada. Holding off Svensson will be easy. Hisada, well, that was a little bit of a lift coming out of the alternate chicane there. Couldn't really do much with that. I felt like that could have been the run. The times is quite interesting, though, because he's just done a 15 flat. You look up ahead, Nick Fisson, fastest lap of the race so far, a 14.5, Parton in a 14.7. This looks like it's going to be a damage limitation race here for Togo today. I don't think he's going to be looking or thinking about that top step. I think he'll just be happy to get onto the podium to make sure that he's got a backup points tally if he needs another drop week.
Yeah, if I was Togo, I would not be going full force here today. I'd just be trying to bring it home, try and avoid problems. That's the main thing you want to try for a round like this. Still another round to go after this, so just keep it calm, keep it collected, and pick up moves where you're able to, but don't try and force anything. Togo, I've had the pleasure of watching his journey on multiple occasions here through the Lotus 49 series and now the 79 series, and to just see the way he's matured and grown as a driver is incredible. Let's see what he can do here as he gets a little bit closer to Svensson. Look at the speed he's carrying through the final chicane. Look how closely the cars can follow. And JB, oh, he's slowing down there. Might have a slowdown penalty. Hisada going up the inside into turn 1.
Yeah, makes that move done. He gets a double overtake. If you've just joined us on YouTube, we apologize for the delay, but we are back racing. Togo Hisada with not the best of qualifying if you missed it. He started in 8th. He's up now to 4th after 5 quick laps, and he's managed to pull ahead. In the background, in the back of the field, we saw a moment with the F2 contender, Connor Levy. He had a little bit of a tank slapper with another F2 contender, Matthew Cockerham. They both went around there at the back of the field, but we're watching this. Togo now, he has clean air for the first time this race. 4 seconds up the road, it's the number 2 car in terms of iRacing, and it's the legend, Nona Gunnar-Friescher. So now he's going to have to try and really start to pull it. But if his qualifying time is anything to go by, I don't think he's very confident on this track.
Yeah, get the feeling that we're going to be seeing a little bit more in between those cars there. Well, Kjell-Arne Svensson has been able to hold on nicely to the back of Togo Hisada here. They're starting to leave JB Masuda behind them, checking back in through the final chicane for Togo. And Nick Thyssen is continuing to set those fast laps here. He's almost catching up to Partanen as we check a little bit further back here in the battle for 13th place and 12th. Janne Lehmann now under a lot of pressure from Daniel Gallis. Has to go defensive a little bit into turn 1, but he's able to take the full width of the racetrack on the way in.
Yeah, but I feel like he took a bit too much there, did Lehman. And Gallis is going to try and do this around the outside of Steering Watch. And he gets it done on the outside of 2. And he gets it sorted at the canal corner. And that's as calm as you want. Real good move there. And that was Lehman. He was kind of taking the sports car line there. Used too much of the curb. And it was the over-under set up there from Gallis that really got things sorted. In the background, even more drivers going. This is Philip Kuhnhardt trying to see a way past Hans Sommer. Not really there at the moment. He gets a nice smooth line. He's played the game of chess. Got a really good run here coming out of the kind of chicane into Villeneuve. They'll come very shortly. Nothing there. It's such a tough corner because you've got to really try and sight that braking point. And I think Sommer might have made the mistake there. I don't think they'll get an overtake though.
Yeah, well, he's very close. There's a hairpin coming up here over the crest. I don't know how brave Philip Kuhnhardt is on the brakes here, obviously. Is thinking discretion is the better part of valor. He's staying behind for just a little bit longer. Thanks to the alternate layout chicane, it's actually quite a fast run to the start-finish line. If you pick up a slipstream there, you can try and carry it all the way to turn 1, and potentially Philip will have a go here in the first sector. It's comparatively wide, these first few corners, compared to the rest of the racetrack, so that's where you're going to be seeing the most moves here.
Yeah, oh, he was looking. That is not the corner. You want to try and make it into turn 2. Not where you want to try and look for that move, and that may have just affected him there. You got to set yourself up here. Through Canal at 3 and Luciano Bianchi at 4. We could not do that. I saw a comment asking about why is Josh Brain 3 laps down. Again, for those that just missed the start, Josh Brain caught up in a small incident to start the race, had to go for a pit stop to get those repairs done. He's 3 laps down after spending 4 minutes in the pit. These guys don't want to spend 4 minutes anywhere else but on this track. Vissen's not had the best of runs this lap, but you look at the times he's been doing. Good grief, they're good times. And this is that moment we were talking about with Connor Levy and Matthew Cockham. Just a meeting of the minds. 2 drivers taking 2 different lines for that combo at 2 and 3.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Levy was thinking the other car would maybe have continued on the slow pace that he had out of turn 2 and just turned in, not expecting him to still be there on the inside. It's hard to tell at these speeds. You know, you've got to have lightning quick reflexes. And these ground effect cars, they will bite at the slightest error, and you need to commit to every single corner. Nick Thyssen is committing, but like you say, he's running a little bit slower than Partanen over the last couple of laps. I thought that Thyssen might have had a tiny bit of a go at Partanen, but it seems like Pauli has found a little bit more in terms of pace. Togo Hisada's certainly becoming the pace setter here. He was the fastest car on track the last 2 laps running. Now that he's free of those drivers ahead of him, Togo is starting to charge up to the podium.
Yeah, we'll keep track on those lap times because he's already took a few tenths out. He actually took half a second away from Thyssen last time by. And when you think half a second on a track where the lap time is 1:14, 1:15, that is a big deal out there for these drivers. So watch him as he comes through the alternate chicane one more time, really carrying the speed. Down he goes, 1:14.6, 1:14.7, 1:14.8, and now it's a 1:14.4. No, 1:14.5. It's the fastest lap. He's only got a 10th faster than Partanen, 2 tenths than Thyssen, and 3 tenths to Prix. As Matthew Cockham in the background, we can report, sadly, he's had to take a tow.
Oh dear, yeah, big problem there for Cockerham. He's had plenty of issues in this race. It actually looks like he came together at the Kleiner chicane with Tommy Kallio Kujala. Just an unfortunate bad hit of the curb there. I'm sure we'll get a view of that at some point, but for now, here's the battle for 8th place. Aaron Blair leading Dylan Freckleton and Otto Hietala. This is going to be a tough one. It's all about trying to get the smooth exit out of the chicane there. The curbs are so high. They unsettled the car at a moment's notice. Curbs comparatively flat here at Villeneuve, but it's very easy to overrun them and get a slowdown penalty. I'm sure we'll be seeing more than a few drivers have to yield because of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to say do a drinking contest. We don't advocate that, but he needs to make this move. And this is actually a little bit vital when you think about the team championship, because he realizes the guys in Martini, they are off the pace today. So his biggest rival, he's currently in P2. He's trying to catch up to Gernot Fritzsche, the Ferrari driver, who's currently 3rd. So you can see that the issue he's got right now is he has to try and make up some position to really go by here. And sitting in 8th, it's good. But if you want that team championship, it's not good enough for him. Get past Aaron Blair. He's got Otto Hietala right behind him, but he's looking straight ahead to Tom O'Gorlan, who's right ahead. A stat on those lap times again as we keep this moment. Here it is, just going side by, well, it wasn't side by side, just caught too much off the curb. They came together, nowhere for Tommy to go into, and unfortunately, that is all she wrote. I was just catching myself there. Lap time for the top 4, all identical last time by.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Tommy in that circumstance because, you know, you commit to the exit of the corner thinking that you're going to be able to stay on the throttle. Then the car in front of you snaps and spins out of nowhere. When they're right in front of you, there really is nothing you can do at those speeds. So I certainly don't blame Tommy for any of that. I just feel bad for him. He too has had to take a tow. Joining Matthew Cockerham in the pit lane. Only 2 cars in there at the moment. Josh Brain has managed to get rolling. Again, he's been out there for 5 laps. We check back in with our leaders. Partanen, once again, running a little bit faster than Nick Thyssen, but Nick is keeping him very honest up the front here.
Keeping him very honest, and at the same time, they know what games they want to play. Nick is just going to be waiting for an opportunity, and he knows that he doesn't have to push. The track is a little bit warm out there, so he doesn't need to overheat these tires, keep the temperatures in them, and just keep it safe. You use them when you need to use them. They're not even at the halfway stage yet. Look, we're lap 11 of 28. So he just wants to follow this slipstream, use it to catch up, see what opportunities he gets, and that is where he needs to be and where he needs to go. Again, fastest time last time out, Togo Hisada. It was only a 10th for Connor Levy. He comes back out. He tried to get that move. Ben Summers defends around the outside there at turn 1 into 2. Connor's going to have to rethink this. Again, this is the driver that could really use a good result for the F2 Championship. Aaron Blair, his championship rival, though, he's in P9. This might have to be one that Levy had to just cross out and call a drop week.
Yeah, potentially. He's struggling to find his way past Summers there. He's down a long way. Remember, Connor started in 6th place, and he was one of the drivers involved in the early troubles on the first lap. So that was a lot of oversteer there for Nick Thyssen across the curve. You definitely don't want to hit it too much. Gernot Fritzsche taking the overall fastest lap of the race. And actually, Nick Thyssen was able to run a faster time, but he got an off track on the last lap, so it didn't officially count.
Yeah, I think that little moment he had there, that Max Verstappen-esque moment there on the last corner, probably gave him the off track there, which meant the lap is not valid, but he was faster, and he was half a second faster than Partonen using the slipstream. He started trying to catch up. He can't catch up yet, but all of a sudden, you've got Fritzsche a second and a half behind this driver. We could be set up for a free car scrap very shortly, because when Gernot starts to go, there's a reason he's one of the most winningest drivers here in the Classic Lotus Series, because as you see, well, he's got that number 2 on his car for a reason.
Yeah, certainly. Gernot is able to get some massive pace in these cars, and he's able to keep that pressure up for a long time. Let's see what the times are across the line this time by. It's 14.5 from Fritzsche this time. Nearly 5/10 faster than Nick Thyssen, and certainly quicker than Partonen. It's going to be a tough one. But Togo Hisada now takes the fastest lap, 1:14.2. The championship leader on an absolute charge here is, oh no! Fritzsche going for a slide there in turn 4, and it looks like that's going to be a freebie for Togo Hisada. He's on the podium.
He's on the podium, and it looked like Gernot just caught a little bit too much of the grass, and he started turning in for turn 4 at Lucien Bianchi, and I think that just cost him. The tyres got a bit of dirt on them. They're going to have to wait and try to warm up, but Togo has still got clean air. He's just made an overtake and still got the clean air. That is fantastic for him. He can now start the push. He has to be wary, though, of Fritzsche right behind, because Gernot has been on it. In fact, these top 4, let's be brutally honest, they have basically been matching each other for pace all day today. Here's that replay, definitely there. There is a little bit of a run there, and Reese knows himself, a little bit of a asphalt there that you can take to make the open up the corner a bit more. Looked like he opened it up a bit too early and went grass, tarmac, grass as he started to turn in, and I think that's what caused the upset there with the tires.
Yeah, looks like it. The track, the width of the car is a tiny bit wider at the rear, so those massive rear tires, it can be a little misleading sometimes. You can think that you're putting the car in the right spot, but it's not going to happen, especially for Otto Hietala. Oh, he's lost the rear wing, and that is practically race-ending damage in these cars. Just too hard into turn 1 over the curb, and the car was gone from there.
Looked like he carried too much speed, and he tried to get that car slowed down, and he also tried to use that ground effect downforce, but the ground effect downforce at some point will cry out and tap out. And right there, it was like he was in a submission move from John Cena. He did see him, and it was too late to see anything. All he saw was the barrier, and he was out of the race. And it is so unfortunate there for the number 10 driver. We go on board with Barry West shortly, because we love looking at Barry. What a drive he's had so far. It's a quiet drive, but he's up 6 places at the start of this race. One of the oldest men in sim racing and one of the most respected drivers in sim racing, on board, well, I say on board, over the shoulder, kind of like in the old days with the F1 cameras over their shoulder, but there is his setup, and I do love, once again, I love saying this every week, he's on a VR, and we get to see what he's seeing in the VR.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Just seeing how he gets thrown around in the sim, thanks to the stiffness of these cars. It's really insane, and you get a sense for exactly why Otto Hietala went for that spin, and why we saw Gernot Fritzsche go for the spin as well. These ground effect cars, they rely on those skirts along the sides of the car to keep the floor of the car sealed, because that's where most of the downforce is generated. You interrupt that by going over a bump or a curb, and all the downforce vanishes in a heartbeat.
Yeah, one of the things I did love a couple weeks ago in the 49s, the Lotus 49, there at Laguna Seca, we had about half a dozen drivers on VR, and half of those, we were able to see what they were looking at on the helmet. Well, not on what we were seeing, we were able to see what they were doing, and it was at Laguna. You come to the corkscrew. The turning of the neck is just insane what they have to do. And you'll see in a moment when he comes here to the Villeneuve chicane, into Telemont, he will just start to just crank the head a little bit. There he goes. Looks to the right. Holds on to the right. Keeps straight. Now looks to the right again. Freischer goes fast as he's catching up to Hisada. Hisada's catching up to the rest. But what a time for Freischer to go on board with Barry. Look at the head crank he'll have to do here. He looks for the corner, finds the corner, looks to the exit apex. That is how you drive a racing car, and it is just so good to see it. And like I always say, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what setup you got, it doesn't matter what I said the right word, sorry, disabilities you have. I'll get my words out there. It doesn't matter what you drive. You drive for fun, you drive for competition, and this is what they're all doing.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I'm also noticing there looking at that onboard from West is just how little steering input there actually is in these cars. You set them up so pointy in order to get the best out of them. They require a bit of rotation through the corner on these massive rear tires. They have the grip to take it. And so you're barely turning the wheel at all. Like I said earlier, they're like giant go-karts. And Nick Thyssen here is starting to catch up to Pauli Partanen. Took 4/10 out of him on the last lap. Now he's taken just about another 10th out of him too. Looks like Pauli might be in trouble.
But the issue we have here, 17 incident points for a drive-through. And that was another off-track for Thyssen on the exit of the alternate chicane. I call it the alternate chicane because the main chicane is called Jackie X. We're not doing the Grand Prix chicane today. As you see the drivers come on by, he's getting closer. Fastest car on the track this lap, second fastest last lap. And this is important because not even Hisada is catching up. The gap is 5 seconds between Partanen and Hisada. It's going to be a battle for the lead. It's going to be a battle for the last spot on the podium. We are at the halfway stage with 12 to go. Almost a slide there from Thyssen. And it makes you feel like he's kind of like a modern-day F1 driver doing his qualifying. He goes for a build lap with the hybrid, and then he goes for an attacking lap. But they haven't got no hybrids. It's just him just having a small bit of consistency issues.
Yeah, consistency is Pauli Partanen's strength here. He actually ran his personal best in the race on the last lap. So the pace is continuing to build here as the fuel burns off and the cars get lighter. Here's a potential move for Janne Lehmann with Philip Koenhart up the inside of him. And there's a pass at Villeneuve, a corner that you don't usually see overtakes in successfully at. But Philip was able to assert himself and get right up the inside there. So Janne Lehmann now back to 13th place, and it looks like West and Soma here are starting to catch up. It's a 4-car pack just about for 12th.
Well, I don't think we can put a blanket over them at the moment, as Jake Sperry would say, but I think we can say it's an elongated train at the moment, and it's going to close up as we hit the final 11 laps to go. This is also another battle we've been watching. Svensson, what a race he's had, because that's one of the best qualifying he's had for a while. Had a lot of technical issues the last few weeks. I know he's been struggling, getting it working at the moment. I'm knocking on wood as I say that. We don't want to see him have another problem. No one wants to see him have another problem. He's having to defend against Mercedes right here at the moment, holding on nice, calm, collective. He knows the car in front he can't catch. He has to mirror watch, which is not what you want to be doing. But all of a sudden, Tom O'Gorman has just caught up to this. It's going to be a 3-car dance in a moment. And that's not what you want to see if you're Svensson.
No, certainly not. And I mean, the corners come thick and fast here at Zolder as the new fastest lap for Togo Hisada. He's the first car into the 1 minute 13 second bracket in this race. He's absolutely on fire right now. All of the cars in the top 5 are doing massive times at the moment. But yeah, the corners come thick and fast around here, and you don't have much time to sort of glance around and check out where you're at, where your rivals are at. You start looking in the mirrors at cars coming up behind you. You could miss your braking zone for the next corner. It'll come up quicker than you think.
Yeah, and you don't want to be seeing that as we keep on board with Thyssen. He's done it again. He's catching up. I thought a 14.054 was fast enough. Then I saw Hisada go sub 14, and I thought, oh man, This could be an interesting finish, and it's still happening. And he's actually managed to cause a gap to Frischer, but Visson is starting to close the gap to Partonen. And again, loses out. Oh, a little bit of a slide again as he tried to 50-50 grind that curve. It's not Tony Hawk's out there today. They never did a map in the Belgium countryside or the Dutch countryside or the German. They never went to Europe. And now you've got to feel that he has to stop being Tony Hawk and he has to start being Jackie X.
Yep, get that pace. Togo Hesada has gotten the pace. That's incredible stuff there. He has run 2/10 faster, at least, than our top two here. He's catching them very slowly, but he is indeed catching them. They're almost in the same camera shot. And Gernot Fritsch is able to match the pace as well. So we will wait with bated breath here with 8.5 laps remaining to see if there's any change here in the top four. But you know, I see it again and again there from Nick Thiessen. He just has that trouble with putting the power down, doesn't he? These cars, of course, use the Cosworth DFV V8 engine. It's a high-revving V8, and it produces all its power up high. So you have to get to the top of the rev range as soon as you can to use that power. But you get on the power at the wrong time, and the car will start slipping and sliding around. That's what's happening now to Nick Thiessen. And it looks like Togo Hesada will start to gain on him here as Thiessen put a wheel off into the grass again.
He didn't put just a wheel off on the grass, he put all 4 wheels off at the glass on the exit of Lucien Bianchi at turn 4 this flying by, and that's why Hesada's right on the back of him right now with just a few more laps to go, 8 to be precise. We have a battle for P2 now, not a battle for P1. Partonen is clear of the field right now, 3 seconds. He can breathe a sigh of relief until he realizes that he lost 4/10 to Togo Hesada. The gap is closing, and if you know the film Jaws, you know the music. This is the moment. Again, taking too much, the rear started to go. Try to keep the speed up, and I think that was also just a little bit of hitting the dirty air there as he went into the back of the slipstream that Partonen had.
Yeah, of course, these cars aren't as sensitive to dirty air as some modern open-wheel race cars, but it still has an effect, so you need to be mindful of that. Well, Hesada putting the power down very nicely here, coming out of the right-handers, and you can just tell, like, he is eyes forward. He's got some tunnel vision here as he's catching up further and further to Nick. And no wheels into the grass that time for the number 4, but we'll see if Hesada can start picking up a bit of slipstream here. Just because these cars run so much downforce, once you get in the slipstream, it's super strong.
Oh, let's see the time from Hesada this time. It's a 14 flat, and I mean flat. And in fact, let's look at the top 3. It was a 14... Well, what was Partonen? Sorry, a 14.097. It was a 14.026 for Thiessen. It was a 14.001 for Hesada, and he's still catching and he's still matching. And if you've ever watched an onboard from Hesada, I know he likes to stream his POV on YouTube. He does keep a very stern, stone wall face. He's super focused, and now they've got to go through the traffic. Summers will pull over to the right. It's not a mandatory pull over, but they do it out of the respect. They're still catching, but with the time coming down, I don't think Hesada will get a shot for the victory if he can't get past Thiessen this time by.
Well, the next opportunity is down here at the hairpin, and you can see that Hesada's carrying a tiny bit more momentum there, but the straight's not long enough for him to take advantage. And, oh, did he lose a bit of time to Thiessen there on the exit of the hairpin? It looks like he did. He was a little more hesitant on the power. Maybe he's just trying to stay a little bit further back to stop the dirty air effect.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to the lap times this time. It's going to be a 13.874 for Hesada. It's faster than everybody. It was a 13.987 for Thiessen. And if you want to take Partonen, it's a 13.941. So he's winning it in singles, as they say in cricket. But there's only 6 overs to go, or 6 laps to go. He can't win it in singles there. He's going to need to find some quick time. The only way he's going to find quick time is he needs to try and get past Thiessen. How do you get past a man that's only put 1 foot wrong this whole race? It's going to be tough for him, but never say never. Anything can happen. And again, a slow exit in the Kleiner chicane allows a really good run for Hesada, but it's such a short run there at the Butter corner, the Butter straight, the Butter banana straight. and he just cannot catch up there. Closer than he's ever been. I wouldn't say that he wouldn't go for this right now. Quesada's the king of the late breakers.
Certainly is, and Thyssen at the chicane there was clattering over the anti-cut speed bumps on the inside of the curve. That unsettled him a bit and allowed Quesada to get just a little bit closer. This could be Togo's chance here if he can nail this run. Thyssen a little bit wide out of the final corner, and this could be the chance that Togo Quesada's looking for. Draws alongside into the braking zone, deep into the corner.
Oh, no!
Contact! Quesada's off!
Quesada is off, and it was not Thyssen's intention. He had a moment there. He just caught a bit too much speed, tried to turn in. Thankfully for Quesada, the gap between him and Prix has just grown so much that he doesn't have to worry too much. I'm checking. No mechanical black flag given there to the Japanese driver. He's safe. He's safe to keep on driving. But all of a sudden, that charge was there. It was, oh, so close. And it felt like for a moment, he had to do a tiny lift as he was on the start-finish straight. He got by, and I do wonder, did he go too deep, or did Thyssen just turn in a bit too early? I think it was a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, and that is so unfortunate. He lives to fight another day, though.
Yeah, it does look like it was a little column A and column B from my perspective. Quesada, he just went deep into the corner. He was going to wash wide on the exit no matter what. And Thyssen turned in. He had to commit to the corner. And Quesada just went into him from there. They sort of just blended together a bit. Racing incident, in my opinion. And I don't think there's going to be any bad blood between them as a result of that. We'll check in then with Barry West, who's the next closest battle on track. For 14th place, Ryan Turcotte is starting to gain on him here, running 15s and up for these drivers. Let's see what we'll be able to see from these drivers in the last 3 laps of the race. This is crunch time, Craig. This is where things start to get serious.
This is where it all starts to get serious out there for the drivers, and Barry knows he needs to try and catch up to Hans Sommer to try and just get an advantage, because he lost that position before, and a bit of wheel spin there. I think he just got a bit too hot on the throttle coming out there of the Bolgerberg hairpin, and he just loses some time. Can Turcotte really look for a move here? I don't think he's going to be able to. He's not close enough, but Barry needs to catch up to Sommer. Really trying to look for this. But again, the craziest thing here, this is the second highest gainer of the races, West. 6th place that he's made up today. Real good driving here in the classic livery. And I'll tell you what, he's also got one of the oldest iRacing accounts out there today. So just to show you that even experience is out there, and even the experienced drivers, when he had that wheel spin, can even make mistakes.
Yeah, the longevity of sim racing is just special, isn't it? iRacing's been around since 2008. We have drivers that have been around sim racing since the late 90s who are still out there racing. Barry West now on the defense here as Ryan tried his best to find his way through. There's not much room for a cut back there at the chicane, but could translate it into a run at the next hairpin. West checking his mirrors there just to make sure that he's clear. And for now, he'll hold him off.
You want to talk about the ultimate immersion here. When you drive on iRacing, you get a virtual rear view mirror. But for some VR drivers, they want the full experience. Barry doesn't use that virtual mirror. He actually goes and uses those side mirrors as we saw, which is fantastic to see. Really trying to just push ahead here to try and catch up. But it's just so tight out there and so close. I am just keep looking at the lead battles here. Nothing's happening in the lead battle. What's interesting is Quesada's had 2 invalid laps. He doesn't have a mechanical black flag because Prix also got it. They are now pushing a bit too hard, making the mistakes, getting the slowdown. And I think they're just going to accept that's all she wrote. But for Barry West, he's still got a lot of work to do. And Turcotte really set himself up to make an overtake into the Villeneuve chicane. Don't think he'd get it this time.
Nah, not close enough to get the move done unless West makes a mistake. But you see how Turcotte is so deep on the brakes here. He's got lots of confidence in the rear end of that car. We'll be running the brake bias a long way back to be getting that short of a braking zone. And makes sense for a track like Zolder. You need a car that rotates on the way into the corner to really get the best out of it here. Looked like a little wiggle for West on the exit there, so I don't think we've seen the end of this battle for sure. 2 laps to go for these guys when they cross the line. And, well, Pauli Partanen is not too far behind them, actually, on track. He's just exited the hairpin behind as they start the second last lap.
Oh, is Ryan going to do this? No,
Whoa!
a little bit of a tangle up there by accident. Tried to go around the outside, and Barry gave him all the room, and I think they just, with the meeting of the mind, kind of similar to that moment earlier with Husada and Thyssen. It was just an unfortunate moment. Everybody's still driving. Ryan's going to try and make that work all over again, but 1.5 seconds is the gap. Not sure he's going to be able to do it. Here's our next closest battle. Tom Gorman trying to catch up to JB Masaida. He's got a really good run this time by. He might be taking a lot of downforce out this car. JB doesn't have a lot on the straight. The leader will take the white flag, though. This is going to be one more lap, I feel, for these drivers.
Yep, Pauli Partanen all the way out in front. 5.8 seconds, 5.7 seconds even, the gap back to Nick Thyssen. And well, all Pauli has had to do is hold on from the start. He qualified on pole. He's led the race for the entire way, and he's held off attacks from Gernot Fritzsche, from Nick Thyssen as well. It's just been a magnificent drive here from car number 1, with Togo still on the podium. You get the feeling that he'll still be leading the championship going into the final round, but this is going to be a great points haul for Pauli today.
Well, he's got the Pauli Partanen special on the side, and it was a special drive from the Finn. A brilliant drive from lights to flag for Pauli Partanen. He will take the victory. He gets his own fastest lap. It will not be the fastest lap of the race, and he converts that identical start time with some of these drivers, with Hans Sommer, with all those drivers. Connor Levy, they had nothing for him. Thyssen will come home into second. Husada will be third. Svensson gets the 5th. Friese got the 4th. And you just saw at the end there, it looked like we had an overtake at the end. I think Freckleton just got past Gorman.
Yeah, I saw Gorman slow all the way down there. He actually got a slowdown, I think, through the final chicane. And he had to slow down and clear that before the line. That allowed Freckleton past. Last battle here. Ryan Turcotte, he's going a bit slow here from that earlier contact with Barry West. Could be an opportunity here for Janne Lehmann and Kurt Klapper, but they will stay in the same order. Through the final corner, no they won't. Klapper getting the wall, and I think he'll keep rolling. Oh man, that's not the way you want to end it. He's going to lose a position there to Connor Levy.
Yeah, that could be vital for Connor Levy in the F2 Championship. But so unfortunate, he really pushed hard there at the end. And that was it. There is a bit of an apology there. Nice little bit of talking there from Friese, from Thyssen as well. He said, what a shame to Togo. He knew what happened. It was just a racing incident from the two of them. Let's get to the standings for the race. Only 2 drivers finished where they started. And the number 1 car started number 1, finished number 1. Partanen will be your victor today by 6.6 seconds to Nick Thyssen, who finished in second. And a charge up the racetrack there for Husada. But what could have been? He'll finish 3rd. Gernot Fritzsche will take 4th, and Svensson 5th. With Mercedes in 6th, Dylan Freckleton will take 7th. With Tom Gorman in 8th, Aaron Blair will take 9th. Jean-Francois Boscus will take 10th to round out your top 10.
Plus 8 positions there for Boscus, and the same for Philip Kunhardt as well, who finishes in 11th after starting 19th. Daniel Gallis gaining 3 spots. Hans Sommer losing 3 spots, unfortunately. Barry West coming home in 14th, gaining 6 places. Same for Ryan Turcotte. They did come together, unfortunately, in the final laps, but no harm, no foul, it seems. Janne Lehmann, Connor Levy, and Kurt Klapper rounding out our finishers on the lead lap. The top 20 rounded out by Ben Summers and Alec Cunningham, who both came home a lap down. It was a few more laps down for Josh Brain there, 4 laps to be exact, and unfortunate retirements from Otto Hietala, Matthew Cockerham, and Tommy Kallio-Kujala. Real shame for them. Zolder claimed a few victims today, and they wouldn't have wanted it to be them, to say the least.
Would not wanted it to be them, but I tell you who wanted to be on the top step It's the man who I've got with me for the interview. It's Pauli Partanen. Missed the last 2 races. Back today. Tied on the qualifying. Beaten by the 1,000th. And then it looked like I'd say a little bit of a peaceful race there, Partanen, but it looked very tense in the middle of that race.
Yeah, that pole position was super important because it gets you on 2 points. So I'm super happy that Gernot was not faster than me. So that was tight. And yeah, race was actually quite easy. Nick had some good pace, but I knew that this track is super hard for overtakes. So I was not really that nervous. And I think he made 2 or 3 mistakes. So that was in the end way easier than I was thinking. But bit sad that I didn't get the fastest lap. I had the pace for it, but sadly for 2 last laps I made a mistakes, and that's 2 points for Toko, and I think those 2 points can be deciding next week who is going to be the champion. So I'm a bit sad about that.
Yeah, let's just talk about the championship standing. The gap between you two was, I want to say, 16 points. When you gain those 2 points, that helps you. You don't have any drop weeks. This is an important race for you. For Togo, this is probably just going to be another drop week for him, being that his worst result this season, which is kind of crazy to sound. It all comes down to the last race, which is always a crapshoot and a very crazy race at Thruxton. What is the key? You're going to say the key is pole position, of course, but obviously you've also got to now start to look and try and hunt for that very important fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm quite sure. I haven't calculated, but I think if I win next race, I win the champion, and if Toko wins the next race, he will win the champion. So I don't really, I'm not sure about this, but I need to check. So well, anyway, the pole position will be the first thing to nail, like always, and after that, I know Toko has a better pace than me on the race, so it's just all about me defending the next race if I get the pole. If Toko gets a pole and is in front of me, I'm quite sure I won't be able to catch him. So I need a pole, I need to be in front of him, and then I need to make a defense of the century.
You have to make a defense of the century, and let's be brutally honest, we're at Thruxton next week, and it's safe to say the last time we came here, the first time we came here, it delivered an all-time classic. How are you going to defend at Thruxton? Everyone knows Thruxton. How are you going to defend at that track? It is so open, it is so fast. It is the British Temple of Speed.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question, because I was just thinking that it will be hard. I know that there's so long straights there that I'm quite sure that I'm not really able to keep up easily, at least with Toko. So I'm not sure yet. I need to see. The last race we did was super fantastic. It was fun. It was everything. I think I was P2 that day, so I know that I have something to claim there. Also, the win for the track and win for the championship. So lot on stake next week.
A lot on stage next week. Now, before we let you go, we haven't seen you for a few weeks, so it's only fair to just give you the floor and any shout-outs you'd like to give.
Yeah, sadly I was not able to participate last 2 races. I was not home, but very big shout-out to Toko, because I was actually very close to skip this week also, because I don't really know the track and I didn't have any desire to practice this much, but Toko said me in Finnish that I need to race, so I was like, okay, fuck it. Oh, sorry about the language. Okay, I need to do it. So big thanks for Toko, and he's a nice guy and has helped me a bit this week. So super big thank you to Toko, and see you next week. I'm waiting for the championship race next week. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Pauli. We look forward to seeing you next week. That was our winner of the race. And once again, we do apologize for the language. I know it's the internet, but it's always nice to make an apology. P2 in the championship, P2 in the race, sorry, not P2 in the championship leader, Toga Hisada, alongside Reese Gardner.
Yeah, indeed. Welcome, Togo. Honestly, great fight through from you, but that unfortunate contact coming into turn 1 with Nick, putting paid to your charge up to 2nd place. What was your perspective of that incident?
Completely stupid. I just fucked up the second quality lap, the money lap, and then I was in the hurry. I need to get at least a podium position today, so that yeah, I catch up the leaders as fast as I could, and that's that's a 5 laps to go out at that point, and I have another 5 lap, and I am faster than him, so I just calm down a bit. I should calm down a bit at the moment. I just braking a little bit too deep, and looking up the front tires going wide under the contact. So I'm barely sorry to him, because he managed to leave the room to me, and it's good enough to back in home in third place.
Yeah, of course. Well, regardless, it was good to see that the both of you got away with little to no damage and were able to still finish the race in spite of that. And you've managed to keep enough points at this round to be able to keep taking that championship to the final round. Fastest lap in the race, extra couple of points for you. It's all going to come down to next week at Thruxton between you and Pauli. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, he's very fast last time, and I'm not good at the Thruxton last time. So so because I really want to win this race today, but prepare, and as it happens.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you very much for joining us in any case, Togo. Congratulations on still finishing third. You're up 5 positions in the race. Let nothing take that away from you. Floor is yours. Anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to, now is the time.
At first, Pauli Patonen, congrats to your victory. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to race with you next week. And of course, the Lotus 79 communities and the GSRC broadcasting team. Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us, Togo Hisada. Final interview of the day here. Craig, I understand you've managed to catch up with Barry West.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But alongside me, one of the legends in sim racing, really, it's Barry West. And Barry, it looked like you were having a great time out there today. Up 6 places. I like the little chuckle there. Up 6 places today. Had a really good battle with Ryan there at the end of the race. A little bit of a moment out there, but it looked like some really hard and fair driving out there.
Yeah, it was a hard race. I just wanted to finish this one because it's the first one I finished this week without any damage, and it came good in the end. Yeah, I knew I could push more, but it's just too risky, isn't it? Risk versus reward. So, yeah, sorry to Ryan. I think we had a bit of net code in turn 1. I just had a look on mine, and it didn't look like there was any contact at all. But yeah, just one regret, and that was I lifted too much in the last chicane when Yanni went off, and that cost me a place to Han Summer. He was all over me all through the race, and I thought I could manage it, but he was too quick in the end. But yeah, it was an enjoyable race, this one. Yeah,
it's an enjoyable race, and one of the things I've always loved this. One of the things with this series, and you know yourself, these are tracks that the modern day F1 cars don't go to, and these are the tracks that back in the day we would have seen with these type of cars. To you, is this the real fun of the series, that we get to experience basically the racing that they got to see and they got to do back in the past in the 70s and 80s?
I think that's part of the fascination, really. It's a pity we haven't got some of the older tracks like Kailami and that. But yeah, I think I actually went to this track, it must have been about 20 years ago, and was in the grandstand at the start-finish, and it was a classic weekend. And it was a Can-Ams, and there was about 20 Can-Ams on the grid, and the actual concrete was vibrating with the noise. It was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's a classic old school track, isn't it? And it's quite technical, and you have to learn the little tricks here and there, but it's such a fun track. I mean, but the trouble is, I think I've noticed a lot of netcode this week, so people were getting caught out with netcode. I got caught a few times. But yeah, it is a great track.
It's a great track. It's one of those as well that you love to drive in an open wheeler. And Barry, I've just got to say, is there anything you would love to say to the community? Because I know you're always the first person after Parton to tell people, get in the series and enjoy the racing.
Well, that's it. The more the merrier. Come on down, guys. It's so much fun. I think I've been doing it for well over 10 years now, 12 years, something like that. And I decided to do this one because I couldn't swap between cars and just focus on one. And now I'm getting so old, it's difficult to focus on one. I've lost so much the last few weeks, but this is a good result actually for me. So I'm well pleased with it. But yeah, come on down, guys. It's you'll find your feet quite quickly, and there's a lot of people to help you out. And yeah, you'll soon be flying past me.
Well, they got to get past you. If they can get past you, they deserve an award because you're no easy customer. And like you say, like it's the Price is Right. Come on down, ladies and gentlemen. Barry, it's great to hear from you once again for another week. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend.
Thanks. Cheers.
Barry West there finishing 14th, but getting 6 places. And as I said, it doesn't matter who you are, what age, what equipment, what disabilities, you can race any given Sunday. And that's going to be it for us this Sunday. And I want to give a thanks once again to the team. But of course, before we do that, as I said, next week, same time, same place, it's Thruxton. It is what I call the British Temple of Speed. It is going to be quick. It is going to be entertaining. And of course, if you like classic final races, this is going to decide everything for the series, so you do not want to miss that. So as we get ready to wrap up for the day, I'd like to give a nice little thanks there to my colleagues. That is Reese Gardner, and of course, Christian was in the director's chair today, and I forgot to give a shout out, of course, to Dougie Beard for providing these fantastic cameras as per usual. As I said, next week, decide everything. Think of it like it's Brazil in 2007 and 2008. Think like it's the duel in the desert between Rosberg and Hamilton. Think of it as the 4-way fight that Vettel won. Think of it as Max versus Lewis without the crashing. It's going to be the duel in the British countryside next weekend. We can't wait to show you. We can't wait to see you. Until then, race hard, race clean, and we will see you on the track.